What's up, YouTube? This is Sir Battalion from 8-Bit Co-op, and I want to thank you for joining me here today as we talk about Nerf buttons. That's right, it has been blowing up the chat lately. It's been a really hot topic on both sides. Yesterday was kind of a culminating thing. I got into a really, it wasn't even an argument, it was a really heated discussion. There were several of us involved in chat, and there's a few misconceptions, and there's some flat out lies and some strong misunderstanding of exactly what Nerf button does. So I'm going to try to dispel some of the rumors, and we're going to try to do away with some of the lies, and to try to give you a better understanding of what exactly Nerf button is. First of all, one of the biggest arguments that I'm hearing is Nerf button is a hack. Okay, let me tell you a story really quick. About a year ago, my wife and I were playing, and we were doing a PQ. My wife received a phone call, and she kind of had to answer, so she ran up and off to the side and did, answer the phone. I continued to play the game and, continued running the PQ. Well, several people came in, and we completed the PQ. My wife was gone about 8 or 9 minutes or so, and she won. And that apparently upset people because she wasn't doing anything. They didn't see her here before, the PQ. They just saw that she had won something and she hadn't participated. So, because every few minutes I would go and I would move her character just because I didn't want her to log out, because I knew she would be right back as soon as she was done with her phone call. Well, somebody had reported her to a GM, and as I was playing, I looked over and saw that she received a private message from one of the GMs, and it was something like, you have 30 seconds to answer this, or you're going to get banned for botting, or something like that. Well, anyways, I, immediately I responded. I'm like, hey, no, my wife just answered. She's away on the phone. I'm playing around in the PQ. She just logged out, or she just stepped away and is on the phone. And it happened to take a little bit longer than we thought, but she was planning on coming back. And the GM was like, yeah, I'm like, she was moved off the PQ. She wasn't getting any more credit from the PQ. She was far enough away, but it was the fact that she had won and she had, she wasn't in the PQ. And the GM, he was really cool. And the GMs have been known to be assholes. I would say they have been known to be asses, but they, questioned my wife, thought she was botting. The GM was like, he, after talking to him for a few minutes, he recognized him. He was like, oh, hey, I love your channel, great work, promoting the game and everything, blah, blah, blah. And it was all good to go. Now, the GMs, although they can be rough around the edges at times, this is their baby. They're not going to let a hack go unchecked. So, should dispel the first rumor. Nerf buttons is in no way, shape, or form a hack at all. And if it was, it wouldn't be allowed. They would make sure it wouldn't be allowed. If they were questioning, my wife standing away from the PQ, not engaged, but still want to, they question that. They're going to question something like a cheat. And this is why people are saying. Some of the things that they're saying, these are completely untrue. I've worked on Nerf buttons for about 1.5 years now, so I won't say that I'm an expert. I will say I'm knowledge at using it, but I'm in no way, shape, or form an expert. But I will tell you, there's certain things that it cannot do. One of the lies, one of the blatant, flat-out lies that's out there, is that it is a one-button do-all thing. And let me explain what I am understanding that means. This is what people are saying. You press the button once. You see, I press the button once, and my character is getting her ass kicked. She's just auto-attacking. Well, the rumor is, you press the button once, and your character does the sequence of buttons you have set up. So, it's what people have been saying is that you just press the button, and then walk away from your computer, and your character will carry out everything that you have set up. That is not true. That is not how a Nerf button works. Also, they're saying that you can set everything up on the one button and never have to press any other buttons, and your character will do everything on that, on that button, and you don't have to do anything in super easy mode. That also is untrue. Let me show you here. Nerf buttons. In the year plus that I've been working on Nerf buttons, I've noticed a couple of things. One, the most successful amount of buttons I have, any more than 8 commands, will kind of bug out Nerf buttons. The algorithm that it uses, I guess, to prioritize attacks and monitor all the numerous, there are so many modifiers for Nerf buttons that the algorithm, it is actively working, so it will prioritize, you know, my heal is set up for every 13 seconds to heal, but if I'm in the middle of doing something, it's not going to heal until I finish that action. But if it's coming up to that 13 seconds, it'll actually kick off the heal. That's part of the algorithm doing the thinking. Now, Nerf buttons is designed where you can input a series of commands and have specific modifiers, but some of the modifiers don't work. Some of them haven't worked for a long time because they're constantly updating the game and doing things, and nobody's really updating any of these add-ons. So the modifiers, you know, a lot of them just don't work. I mean, if you look here, you have, oh crap, I keep doing that every time. You look here, all these modifiers, these are all modifiers that you can put on, and it'll do specific things. You know, you can have it set up to, I mean, one of the number one things is virtual cooldown, to where you can set up different abilities. If you look here, I have virtual cooldowns on some of my abilities. Some of my abilities I do not, because they have their own internal cooldown. But if you try to input too many commands or too many modifiers, Nerf buttons doesn't work. It will not work properly. So say you have, there is, let me go ahead, because I was on my Disciple of Cain, and the ability is, I want to say on the Warrior Priest it's Purge. I believe it's Purge. Say Purge. Say you don't like fighting Witch Elves, and you want to purge the Kiss, the one that does the debuffs to healing whenever they have it on whenever they hit you. It has like a 25% chance to debuff your healing or something like that. Say you want to get rid of that. You can set up a modifier to where it'll target that specifically. So say you're fighting a Witch Elf, and the Witch Elf has that ability. It'll purge it. And then every time she tries to put it back on, it'll continue to purge it. It'll only purge that ability though. However, if you are fighting a Shaman or a Marauder, it'll just purge the first enhancement that they have going. It won't, you know, pick out a specific one. Nerf buttons is designed to do that. However, as complicated as that is, it's actually kind of complicated for it to, you know, to do. That is a very specific task that you want it to do. That takes, say, put it like this. Say you have an allotment of space. Okay, this one task takes up 4 blocks of that, 10 blocks of space. That means you only have 6 more free spaces. So you could put 3 abilities that use 2 blocks, another 4-block ability, and one that uses 2. That's kind of how it works. When you start getting into specific modifiers, the more specific and detailed you get a modifier, like if you want it to specifically, you can set it up where it'll silence a caster if it, you know, if the caster starts casting. I don't know how the algorithm works, but it, you know, it will automatically, like say you're fighting and you have it set up on your bar, and you go in and you start attacking and he starts to cast. It will automatically, the next attack will automatically be a silence. You can set up for that, but that takes up resources. So you can't have a complicated string of commands set up on your character and expect, you know, Nerf buttons to work properly. That's just not how it works. That's one of the misconceptions. People are like, you could set up a 15 command sequence and Nerf buttons will do that. It won't do that. The fewest amount of sequences I have set up, let's see, I have on my Warrior Priest, I have 2 healing ones set up. I have 2 damage ones. I have one when I'm specifically fighting Shaman. Yeah, I have one when I'm specifically fighting casters. So that's what? Sitting at 6? I have one for that will put me in defense mode. Like if I get disarmed or something, it'll start like I'll go into like I'll detaunt and start healing and start casting my defensive things until I get my weapon back. And then for that command, that's all it does. It has four abilities attached to it. And once I use those 4 abilities, it kind of blacks out like this, so I know that it's over. Like I can't use it anymore. Once I have a weapon, it'll kind of, I set it up to where it'll stop. It's one of the modifiers you can have. It will set like parameters, like if you have a certain buff or you have something. So basically, what it does is when I have the weapon debuff or disarm thing icon, these become active. Once that goes away, these become inactive. But they're set up on a whole different key. So it's not like I could just, string it all in one. Like I have to like, oh, I'm attacking. Oh, I got disarmed. Now I have to start pressing another button until the disarm is up. But again, I can only set up 4 abilities on that key, because any more than that, because they're very specific and I have a bunch of modifiers, any more than that, it'll stop working. I have tried to set up a really complicated one on my thing. I tried to set up as many attacks as I could, and like I said, 8 was the magic number. 8 was the magic. Anything more than 8, you can set up more than 8, but it will not work reliably. That, again, because it's not a one button do all. So 7 different commands, I think, is the least amount of command setups I have. On my white line, I have a lot more. On my tanks, I have a lot more. I have, different ones set up for if I'm using two-handed or sword and board, something like that. Warrior Priest is pretty simple. I have my 2 healing ones, and then my attack ones are pretty much all the same, except for when I'm fighting a shaman, I have like a different series of attacks than anything else. Because I just hate fighting shaman. Anyway, so that should dispel the whole rumor of you being able to set one button up and do everything, because you just can't. Nerf buttons doesn't work like that. The other rumor is somebody got on, and this was one of the people, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't want, I'm not trying to blast anybody, but their big argument was, they said, Nerf buttons, I put all 3 of my dots on one button, I press it, and it casts all 3 dots at one time. That is bullshit. That is a complete bold-faced lie. Nerf buttons, it does not do that. If you're doing that, you are hacking because of the global cooldown. That's another thing. He also said that Nerf button eliminates the global cooldown. Let me show you something. Oh, I just killed everybody, so I can't. Well, I'll fight the boss, and I'll show you when I fight the boss. But Nerf buttons does not eliminate the global cooldown. Nothing. There are abilities that don't respect the global cooldown that you can cast while casting something else, because there's certain ability, and a lot of games have that abilities like this. It doesn't respect the global cooldown. That means you can cast it whenever, even if you have the global cooldown taken, you can cast this ability and it will still go off just fine. But Nerf buttons itself is not designed to do that. What I like about Nerf buttons is, for people like me, I have a TBI, I have trouble. If there's too many, first of all, I hate a bunch of buttons. That was one of the biggest things I hated about World of Warcraft, is there's so many buttons in the hotbar, so many things to do, that, once they started being out, I can't remember what the add-on was called, where you could do, basically it was a Nerf button for World of Warcraft. I fell in love with it because it simplified everything, and I got rid of 90% of my buttons, and the cluster at the bottom of my screen was gone. Where are these other 2 freaking scarecrows? Okay, oh, there it is. Alright, anyway. Alright, let me show you something here about the global cooldown. If you look here, I always have it set up in mouse button 4. See that? I'm using my abilities. Guess what? There's a global cooldown. I have a global cooldown. There's no way I can get rid of the global cooldown. So this it eliminates the need for the global cooldown, or it eliminates the global cooldown. is another lie. It's complete bullshit because it does not. You still have global cooldown. I think the problem that people are having is that because you have things that don't respect the global cooldown, and you hear how fast I'm clicking the buttons, it will, I mean, you can press one button faster than you can press two buttons. So I can sit here and press one button really, really fast, and as soon as the animation is finished, there is a microsecond, nanosecond, quadrigasecond, I don't know what it's called, but there is a really brief, like, unit frame where your character, the animation is actually over and the ability has been cast, and your character is kind of like, you know, recovering, where you can actually input a command and it will start it. And a lot of people see that and they think, oh, because your character didn't finish the animation, you're hacking. Let me show you this ability really quick, and just to show you that they say it'll, you know, continuously do whatever action you say. I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna start attacking this guy. And get off the horse. Okay. I'm gonna use Divine Assault, and then I'm gonna press a button in the middle of using Divine Assault. Okay, you see that? I used another attack. It canceled Divine Assault. Another one of his arguments where he could use Divine Assault and a bunch of other attacks and still get all the benefits from the Divine Assault and his attacks. I just proved to you that is not possible. Let me show you it again, just so you see. I'm going to use Divine Assault, and then I'll use a completely other ability that will make it a lot easier for you to determine. You see? I still got the whole animation. It stopped attacking. I did not get the other attacks. Even though that went through the whole animation, my character stopped and did a whole nother attack. There. Again, it stopped. I did not complete the attack. I did not get all 4 hits from Divine Assault. So that's another lie, rumor, disproved. It does not let you do that. It does not let you cast an ability and then use another ability and activate while your other ability is going off. So there is a certain amount of skill that comes to inputting commands in Nerf buttons. Nerf button, people that are really skilled with Nerf buttons, they're kind of like Freemasons, you know, or Illuminati, you know, they're very secretive. Their sequences, it's not something that you will find freely. Like a lot of people that know how to use it really well. I looked on the internet everywhere. I found one really good guide, but the problem was the sound quality was really shitty, and the person was very, you know, he was explaining a lot of stuff. The problem was, you know, it would get really loud, and then it would come in really loud, and it was like, holy crap. And, you know, there's parts where I had to turn it up really loud, and then, you know, it would come blaring, and I was like, oh, I can't do that. It's going to freaking trigger me. That's too much. So, even my guide is a basic, you know, overview, like, hey, this is basically, this is a basic guide for using Nerf buttons. This is not this isn't going to make you a pro at using it, but it will give you a stable platform to start using Nerf buttons on. What is going on? Yeah, the game is having some serious issues. It crashed, the whole server crashed, and PQs and scenarios have been really messed up. But I should just bear with me as I get through this. So you have this knowledge of that people have developed who don't like to share it. And I see all the time people ask questions about Nerf buttons, and I mean, a lot of them just don't get answers. A lot of people are just like, hey, I'm not going to answer you. You know, I can tell you about, you know, my secrets of how I make my Nerf button work, which, you know, in turn does aggravate a lot of people and does build, you know, a little bit more animosity to people that use Nerf buttons. Here's the thing: Nerf buttons, it's not a hack. You know, it's not bannable. If it was, well, hell, I'd have been banned a long time ago. Nerf buttons is one of those things that I'm still learning stuff. I am not in no way, shape, or form an expert at it. However, I do have a pretty solid understanding of how it works or how it's supposed to work. And so when I get on and I see people saying things that are completely bullshit about it, like, you know, you press one button and it does everything, you know, you can put 15, you know, commands and it'll do it all at one time, you know, I'm going to get on and I'm going to say, you know, hey, no, you're talking out your ass. This is how it works. A lot of the modifiers, like that used to be super specific, no longer work anymore. So there's that element where it's not in the game where you could do that really complicated string of commands. That's not in the game anymore. So, okay. Alright, there we go. I'll take that. Well, at any rate, a lot of people were scared off of using Nerf buttons and a lot of add-ons because of things like, oh, you're going to get banned if... And I wish the developers would actually say something about it. I'm going to buy that yellow back. Not that. I wish they would get on and say something and be like, hey, no, it's not bannable. Don't believe what these people are saying, because they're scaring a lot of people off from using an add-on that's really good, in my opinion. It's a really good add-on, and for people like me who have issues or like when things get too complicated, like my head starts hurting. It's not because I'm dumb or can't figure. It's just that I have a TBI and I don't process like I used to. I don't think as fast as I used to, and it really does, you know, help me out in those situations where I don't have to be moving 100 miles an hour because I know, okay, instead of having 5 keys to press, I just have the 1. So I suggest, if you want to use Nerf buttons, I highly encourage you to try it. But know that when you do set up Nerf buttons, it's not a one-button do-all. You're not going to be able to just set up one button and then walk away and then your character goes in auto mode. You're not going to be able to set up one button for every situation. That's not how Nerf buttons was set up. That's not how it was designed. Again, you know, some of these modifiers here don't really work. I mean, you could set up to where you can have certain attacks only happen to certain, you know, archetypes, you know, or certain careers, like casters, you know, or whatever. Certain effects. This is really good for like cleansing things, and you know, you could have it set up to where this is going to be your most used one, is the virtual cooldown. You could have it set up to where it is an action point one, where you can use an ability. It will only use, like, say you have, you know, 30 action points. If you get below 30 action points, it won't use this ability, you know. But you can have it set up to where you can cast heals, and you can actually set up this to dumb heal, but it's not as effective. I don't think it was ever effective at any iteration of Nerf buttons, because it just doesn't. I tried to set it up and I fiddled around with it for several days, and it never ever properly worked right. You can't have like a silence and a debuff and a knockdown and you know, purge and a and like a CC because it doesn't work. I'm not sure why, but you can't, because it won't go through all the commands for some reason. I think it's it has to do with the 10 blocks I was talking about. So if you want to use Nerf buttons, I highly encourage you to try. Don't listen to the people and tell you, oh, you're unskilled if you use it. It has nothing to do with your skill level, because it does take skill to set up these and get these working where you have 100% uptime on your abilities and all that stuff. It takes a bit of knowledge to use it properly. So get out there and try it. I highly encourage you. Like I said, it's available to everybody, so it's not, you know, a cheat that's exclusive. You got to pay for it. Everybody can download it. Everybody can use it. Well, anyways, thank you for listening to my rant. My name is Third Battalion. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.